a reset of where we're at. There has been concern over on the opposition side that there is some sort of a cover-up or some hiding in documents that, in redacted documents that have been submitted. And then on our
conflict of interest in lobbying with regards to pandemic spending. Specifically today, the House order stipulated that, and I'll read from it, Amit Pal Singh, the Deputy Prime Minister's Policy Advisor, be ordered to appear before the committee on Wednesday, March the 31st, 2021 at 2 p.m. Now, colleagues, I can inform you that we have heard from the ministers that Amit Pal Singh has been instructed not to appear before our committee. And so we find ourselves in a difficult situation of trying to determine what we should do today. I should inform members that Minister Fortier has offered to bring testimony and answer questions today. She hasn't been called by this committee, nor has the House ordered her, but she has offered. I do have a speaking list that is developing here. We have, and I'd be looking for instruction from members of the committee to determine how to proceed today. We're going to begin with Monsieur Fortin, followed by Mr. Barrett, followed by Madame Shanahan. Monsieur Fortin will turn to you.
Merci, Monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I don't want to repeat the same thing day in, day out, but I made a proposal last Monday regarding a similar situation to what we're facing today, and I'm still of the same opinion. I don't want there to be any drama when there is no drama to be made, but there is something problematic occurring right now. Substantially, Mr. Chair, since parliamentarians started last summer to shed light on the We Charity scandal, government members have gone to great lengths to stop us at every opportunity. There's been filibustering, finance, government operations, official languages, ethics committees have wanted to study this issue. They've put a spanner in the works at each and every juncture. There has been filibustering. There's been an undue and inordinate amount of blacking out of documents. Then Parliament was prorogued. Committees were dissolved. Committees then had to be restruck when Parliament resumed late September. Then, to continue with my chronology, there was more filibustering, and last week the chair of the committee attempted to debate a motion which sought to subpoena these individuals to appear. After hearing from the Kielburgers, it became obvious that there were some things that were incoherent and inconsistent, and we needed to get to the bottom of that. And yet last week, we were the subjects of filibustering. We weren't in a position to decide as a committee to subpoena those individuals. Our Conservative Party colleagues decided to use one of their opposition days in the House last Thursday to get the House to order those individuals to appear before the committee. The House debated the issue all day long. There were arguments in favour and against, rightly or wrongly. At the end of the day, a decision was made and the House adopted a motion forcing those individuals to appear before the committee, an order of the House in other words. And yet on Monday, the Government House Leader stated in the House that in fact, these individuals must not appear and that they would not appear. So he defied the order of the House. Yesterday, we received a letter from the Honourable Mona Fortier, who's Minister of Prosperity, Middle Class and Associate Finance Minister, and I won't read her letter in entirety. You've read it just as I have. But in closing, she said Mr. Amit Pal Singh had received an order to not appear before the committee, and in his place, I will attend the meeting on behalf of the government Wednesday, 31st of March 2021. Well, listen. She's singing from the same songbook as her colleague, Mr. Rodriguez, did on Monday. This is grievous, and there are often motions adopted by the House, calling on the government to act, and the government doesn't comply with those orders for all sorts of reasons. There's disobedience by omission. I remember was a call to have the flag at half-mast. That was not done. The government has hemmed and hawed over a whole number of issues despite firm resolutions adopted by the House. Here we're not talking about disobedience by omission. We're talking about a clear opinion handed down that is and to defy the decision of the House is in fact defiance. There are two ministers that have clearly said that they are prepared to defy the House and that their authority supersedes that of the House. Now, you know, I'm not talking in a partisan fashion here. The Bloc Québécois is not here to, in fact, praise the primacy of the House of Commons. But that said, we do, as things currently stand, live in a country called Canada. And I always thought that Canada was supposed to be a democratic country where decisions were taken democratically and where a decision by the House held some value, nevertheless. And yet, members of the government side are blatantly defying the House. Now, I'm not prepared to say here how the House should penalise these individuals. But as a parliamentary committee, it's incumbent upon us to note that this witness has defied the House when subpoenaed and that this order from the House has been defied. I think that the House should take ownership of this issue and get an answer as to why these individuals haven't complied with the order that's been handed down. And this should be done in short order. Now, one of these two ministers, or both of them, has ordered their employees, their staff, to not appear. If I was one of them, well, I'd be very, very uncomfortable, even in relation to my own family, because democracy is a dearly held value, and we are supposed to be in a democratic nation where we can debate our ideas, whether we agree with each other or not, and now, there are two ministers in this democracy who have decided to defy democracy, in a sense. I'm very disappointed. I would even go so far as to say that this is tormenting me. So I'd like to rehash the motion that I tabled on Monday. The debate was suspended while we heard from Minister Rodriguez on this issue. So I have another motion that you will have received, and I've changed the name and the date because it's not the same witness that is defying the committee's order. But I would move that the committee adopt this motion such that the House note the absence of Monsieur Amit Paul Singh, who has failed to appear before this committee today despite the order to that effect, and that measures must be taken when individuals decide to defy an order handed down by the House. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Monsieur Fortin, I just want to verify, were you serving notice that putting that on order, or were you moving that motion now?
J'ai demandé.
I've asked that the motion to be sent to you this morning, so I'm prepared to debate the issue immediately. If someone prepares that we debate this at another time on another date, that's fine too. But this motion must be adopted. It's our duty to report back to the House. The House has ordered us to seat today. Mr. Chairman, you will recall that under the motion that was tabled, the chair was called upon to convene the committee to hear from these witnesses. Full stop. The witnesses aren't here, and it's our duty to advise the House of that fact.
I believe that motion is in order because it is, in fact, timely in terms of the issue that we're discussing at the moment. So moving to debate with regards to the motion that has been brought forward, we'll turn to Mr. Barrett.
All right. Thank you very much, Chair. And with respect to this motion, it's incredibly troubling that we're in a place where the House did pass a motion by a vote of 181 to 153. And in the composition of...
Excuse me, Chair, point of order.
Every time.
Point of order.
Every time,
Yeah.
without exception.
Point of order. Colleagues, order. Order. Madame Shanahan, on your point of order.
Yes, because I believe that this the motion that we are debating is different from what we had in writing. Can it be circulated, please?
Ça devrait déjà l'être.
It should have already been circulated, Mr. Chairman. I sent it. It's the same motion, word for word, as Monday. Just the name and date are different. That's the sole difference. But you've already received it. It's in your P9 account.
Very good. Members can verify through their P9 account to ensure that they've received a copy of that. Going back to Mr. Barrett.
Without exception, I'm interrupted by a member of the governing side of the House when I speak at this committee, without exception. And if one of the speakers, when it is their turn to speak, wants to enumerate the number of times that hasn't happened, I'd find that very interesting. With respect to the motion put forward by our colleague, it's incredibly troubling that Canada's Parliament passed a motion by a vote of 181 to 153, totaling 334 out of a possible 338 votes. A clear majority of members supported the motion. And the motion it's crystal clear, and it gives direction to individuals to appear. It gives direction for documents to be produced, and there is an option built into the motion that allows for the argument that was made on the day of debate, the Thursday past, for ministerial accountability, for a member of cabinet to be accountable. And the motion says that an order of the House do issue for due diligence reports in the care, custody, or control of the Privy Council office respecting the Canada Student Service Grant, and these documents be deposited in both official languages with the clerk of the committee no later than Thursday, April 1st, 2021. That Rick Tice, the Prime Minister's Director of Policy and Cabinet Affairs, be ordered to appear before the committee on Monday, March 29th, 2021 at 2 p.m. That Amit Pal Singh, the Deputy Prime Minister's Policy Advisor, be ordered to appear before the committee on Wednesday, March 31st, 2021 at 2 p.m. That Ben Chin, the Prime Minister's Senior Advisor, be ordered to appear before the committee on Thursday, April 8th, 2021 at 2 p.m. And regarding the study on addressing sexual misconduct issues in the Canadian Armed Forces by the Standing Committee on National Defence, Zita Astravas, formerly the Minister of National Defence's Chief of Staff and the Prime Minister's Director of Issues Management, and currently the Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness's Chief of Staff, be ordered to appear before the committee on Tuesday, April 6, 2021 at 11 a.m. And should the Prime Minister instead appear before the committee mentioned in paragraphs A and B at any of the dates and times mentioned for at least 3 hours, the witnesses otherwise scheduled to appear and any other witnesses scheduled to appear before the same committee at a later time be relieved of their obligation to appear pursuant to this order, and it be an instruction to the chairs of the committees mentioned in paragraphs A and B to convene televised meetings of their respective committees at the dates and time mentioned for at least 3 hours for the purpose of receiving evidence from the individuals then ordered to appear or the Prime Minister, as the case may be, unless the individual has been relieved from attending under the provisions of paragraph C, provided that the witnesses be required to appear until discharged by the committee. So we have this very clear order calling for witnesses, and there is an or option included in there for the government. And that option is for either the individual named, in the case of today's meeting, Mr. Amit Pal Singh, in the case of Monday's meeting, Mr. Rick Tice, and in the case of next Thursday's meeting, Mr. Ben Chin. So those witnesses or Prime Minister Trudeau could appear at committee. That's the option. And the Prime Minister would be able to exercise the principle of ministerial accountability. But instead what we have is in defiance of an order of the House of Commons. On Monday, the witness was ordered not to appear by the government, and in his place, the government House Leader attended. Now, the government House Leader, Mr. Rodriguez, was unable to answer questions that anyone with an interest in this file would have had answers to, the questions that were asked, and kept referring to documents that were tabled before his government prorogued Parliament and to committee testimony from studies at other committees before his government prorogued Parliament, instead of answering the questions that were given to him. So instead of sending the witness that was ordered by the House to appear, we were sent a minister who didn't have a passing knowledge of the issue at hand. This motion was passed by a majority of parliamentarians, and it called for key witnesses to appear at this committee, or the Prime Minister. And it called for a witness to appear at another parliamentary committee. So the matter of confidence in the government with respect to their ability to be good stewards of taxpayers' funds, and with respect to the handling of sexual misconduct allegations, is of interest to the House and did cause an order to be issued by the House. But instead, by blocking witnesses from testifying, ordering witnesses to testify against an order of the House of Commons, the government is devaluing and disrespecting Canada's Parliament. So it's unacceptable. And so we have a minister who is asked to appear today, and the minister's involvement in this matter may be of interest to this committee, and in which case I would invite, as I would to any member of the government or any Canadian who has information with respect to the study that this committee is undertaking, to submit a written brief to the committee. And I assure the minister that I would review it with great interest. But that being said, and while I do believe we need to examine the motion that Monsieur Fortin has put forward, I move that the meeting do be adjourned.
Okay, colleagues, that is not a debatable motion. That is a motion. I'll ask the clerk to go through the list, and we will vote now.
On the adjournment motion, Mr. Dong?
No.
Mr. Fergus?
No.
Mr. Long?
No.
Ms. Shanahan?
No.
Mr. Sorbara?
No.
Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
Dr. Carey?
Yay.
Monsieur Gould?
Wait.
Monsieur Fortin?
Oui.
Monsieur Bouleris?
Yes.
Ayes pour 5, nays contre 5.
Colleagues, we will adjourn the meeting and call back as per the House order at the next prescribed date. Meeting adjourned.
Don't forget to like, dislike, subscribe, and comment. Safe Space Cafe. And always, have a good day.